Welcome into a new season with Shiro. That's me. Today we are talking about this thing that you've had in mind to do for quite some time. Could be a big thing, could be a small thing, but something that has been eating at you. And then you look at it and say, you don't have time, not right now. When you're a little more honest with yourself, you say, that's not for me. I'm not the person to bring this into the world. That's for those people who know how to do that. Those people who are better, bigger, anything than you. And yet the idea never goes. It's always just buzzing there in the periphery of your thoughts. Sometimes, depending on how strong the pull is, it could be that this is the thing. When you go to sleep at night, it's just there. It's always buzzing. And I'm here to tell you that there is a cost to having that thought in your head. Believe me, I know. I've had that thought many times in my life. I think we all have. And here today, we are talking about what it takes to step away from the excuses. Sometimes they are excuses, sometimes they are indications. It could be something that's buzzing within your head that you're not meant to do. But to the extent that you're not looking at it and you're not making a firm decision on that particular point, it continues buzzing. I had that experience once again myself. Everything I talk about here is things that I've gone through myself. And it was only at the point of sitting down with it, dissecting it, and looking at the pros and cons and having an intellectual conversation with myself about that point that I managed to reach the decision that it was not for me. But today we're looking more at the other side. What if it's a block? There's something there that you really want to do, but cannot move. And today we're looking at it from the aspect of the identity shift. Someone once asked me, what does that mean, an identity shift? And my response was, you're not the same person today as you were when you were 3. It's about change. I was listening to someone saying that they don't like the word pivot because it doesn't make sense to them. Change is a whole concept that all of us can get on board with. We all know that life cannot be the same all through. You are not living the life you were living when you were 3, for better or for worse. And there's the book, Who Moved My Cheese, that is a tiny little book that's just all about change and what to do at the point of change and how to deal with change. So when you have an idea, and in this case, for this example, I'll use a business idea. You have a business idea that you have in mind, something that you want to give birth to, and you're not sure how to go about it. Maybe you have your day job and you're feeling that you cannot find the time, or you have started it actually. It's something that you're thinking of doing, or you actually started doing, but you're having trouble fully investing yourself into it. So let's look at the identity shift, because what happens is when you move from a person who was not running a business to a person who was running a business, that is change. And there are certain beliefs and thought systems that exist within you that you're going to need to relook at. In my case, I've always told everybody that I'm not an entrepreneur. I don't have what it takes to be a business person. I'm the kind of person who just always needs to be employed. And that was a belief system. It's a belief system that I held and I held dear until it changed from within. Something shifted from within that said that no, we do not want the employment path. We want to go and try business. And then I had to sit and consider the change, because that means that I needed to pick up that belief system that I had already been claiming and stating to be mine, that I am not an entrepreneur, open it up, look for where that thought came from, and ask myself if it could be challenged. And because there was such a huge push from within, it had to be challenged. And then now I didn't know what it meant to be an entrepreneur. Who is that person? A woman running her business. What does that even mean? What does it entail? I have no idea. I haven't gone to business school. No one has taught me these things. And I was very amused when watching Masterclass. I quite like it. And a lot of the business people speaking there say quite plainly they've never been to business school. And these are people making millions and billions. And well, I'll give you the example of the lady for Spanx. I forget her name. A lot of wonderful and amazing women who are there, and men. Well, men as well, I'm sure, who have also not been to business school. So the point is that that is not the thing that pivots you into it. It is more finding something that you really long to do and then figuring out how to go about it. And that was actually my own path. So, what does it take, this identity shift? And the first point I have here is you need to see who you're becoming. Who are you becoming? You need to focus on that person because you are the person that you are now, and it's very shaky, wishy washy. When I started on this journey, I can tell you that I've changed dramatically. That is why I actually took a pause from this YouTube channel because I was changing so much. And whenever I wanted to come in, I've done 3 or so videos that I recorded, and at the point when I wanted to post them, I was no longer that person. Meaning, there was nothing wrong with the content, but it was just not so aligned to me as to be something that I want to bring forth. Not to say that that's what's been happening throughout, but that is the impact of change. The things that used to be important and valuable and make so much sense to you yesterday change, and you just have a completely different perspective. And it comes gradually. It's not something that you necessarily see from one day to the next, but it is something that exists. And maybe let me rephrase that. You can actually see it from one day to the next. It is entirely possible, and it has been my experience that I have gone to bed thinking one way and woken up thinking another. Why? Because my subconscious mind is also at work. All of us, our subconscious minds are at work. And if I can give you a secret, one of the things that I did, I told this to someone and she thought it was very funny. I recorded a subliminal message for myself. So I took the beliefs that I wanted to have, and this was about business and prosperity and money and that kind of thing, and my ability to run a business. And I spoke them, I recorded them with music playing in the background, some kind of music that is very good for this, for high vibe, for getting a high vibration. And I play that every night before I go to sleep. So I can't really hear the words because I recorded the music louder than the words. And frankly, this is something you can do even just on your phone. Mine is 30 minutes, and I just play it on my phone for 30 minutes. I fall asleep somewhere in between, the phone goes off. And I have been doing this for so long that I did realize that there are times when I get up and there's just been a shift. Something that the day before I thought was highly complex no longer is. Okay. The other thing you need to do is look for evidence that it is possible. You're looking for people like you. Yes, you're looking for people like you. So in my case, I was very lucky to have seen women that I actually know, people who have been near and dear to me, who have taken the step of leaving their jobs, because that's what I did. Leaving their jobs without having a direct plan of what they were going to do thereafter. The women in my life who went against the grain and did something different not only survived but thrived. And seeing that made that an avenue that was open to me. And don't worry if you don't have women in your life, and believe me, you probably do, but if you do not see people in your life who have done this, take to social media, take to the movies, take to TV, and just find people who are taking the path that you would want to take yourself and excelling. It's very easy to find stories about people who are failing because that sells. We as human beings are attracted to things that go bad. Fine. But go out of your way to find stories of people who are doing good. And the other thing that happens here, I've been very touched to be getting a lot of messages on LinkedIn from women just sliding in and telling me that they're very proud of what I am doing. And in my mind, it's not, I'm just living my life. So I recently launched a course at Folkuniversitetet here in Sweden that is teaching women who are not born in Sweden, I live in Sweden, how to tackle the business idea and how to move forward with it. So much broader than what we're speaking here, and it's called She Decides. So it's putting in the decision perspective into the business. And I thought it was super cool. I'm still quite happy with it. But then the number of women who've just reached out and told me how impactful that is has really touched me. And that's when you realize that you might be the light that someone else needed to see. So when you embrace the change that is for you, that is coming your way, even though it is going to be uncomfortable because it is change, then you might be changing the world in one little degree that you're not even aware of yourself. Okay. There's something else I want to see about this focus on who you're becoming. Look at you in 20 years from now. Take the focus away from in the next 30 days, in the next 90 days, in the next year. 20 years from now, when she's already living the life that's amazing and wonderful and has everything you've ever dreamed of, what does she do? How does she take care of herself? What does she eat? Yeah. That version of you who has everything that you've ever wanted. And what the trick is, and I'm sure you've heard this before, is to start living that life. No, I'm not saying that you need to be 20 years older. I'm saying that you need the wisdom of you who is 20 years ahead. The wisdom of your higher self, the person who knows so much more, because she lives with you. She is there. So it is just tapping into a resource that you already have available to you. And what happens is that when your belief system has moved away from these things that used to weigh you down and make you believe that you cannot be great, because that's what society teaches all of us, and allowed yourself to wander into this version of you who already has all you could possibly ever dream of, it becomes a shorter jump for you to make. Because once you open your mind to be able to believe something, then it becomes available to you. In my book, Date Like Cleopatra, I say that if you do not believe in Santa Claus, he will never bring you gifts. It is the belief in what you can achieve that enables you to achieve it. It's really, really that simple. If you do not believe that you can go to the university and study something new, you will not go to the university. So your mind works extra hard to only provide you with a reality that you can appreciate. Because if you do not believe it, then it is not something that your mind will let you see. Okay, recognizing your imposter type. So I did a video not so long ago about the 5 types of imposter syndromes, and I'll link it here. And it's important to see which one is the one that affects you. It's possible that you're impacted by more than one, and at different times, maybe different things arise. And take predetermined action when it comes up. If you see what it is that you tend to go towards, you can you'll be better placed to recognize it. My imposter syndrome type had been to expect that things should come naturally to me, that I'm naturally gifted. So if I have to read it up, then it can't have been for me because it's meant to just come naturally. And once I realized that, then anytime I would take a course or read up on something, then I was breaking that belief. I was making myself available to new knowledge and therefore realizing through the new knowledge that I did not know everything. It's not possible to know everything. So I was allowing myself to somehow break down what my imposter type was. The other note I have here on the imposter type is that I put up a little note on my mirror that says failure is learning. Failure is equals to learning. And these little things accumulate because I put it up at a time when I was really going through the roughness of what is imposter syndrome and what I can and cannot do and all that stuff. And it doesn't end, it carries on whenever you're doing something new and growing. But I realized that I did have a certain little degree shift in what I consider the end of the world. Because then I could then stop and recognize that I was learning and not just failing. And I read somewhere as well that the definition of failure was when you do something that you know how to do or that you have done before and do it wrongly. But if you're experimenting on something new, then that is not failure. That is just part of the course of learning how to do it. Okay, then another point here is grieve what you're letting go of in advance. This one can be a little tough because this means it could be friends. If you are in an environment that doesn't allow you to grow because everyone around you is just like you, in terms of you're all at the same place. I use the example of Trevor Noah in his book Born a Crime, when he was hanging out with his gang of friends who were all not really getting anywhere in life. And he realized that he wanted more and that he had the opportunity to get more. And so that's it. Realizing that the comfort zone that you are in might be what is dragging you down and keeping you where you are, including friends, including workmates. It could be your job. If you need then to leave your job to start getting into your new environment, that one was really tough for me because then who are you? Who, without the title, without the backing of the company, who was I? And it comes back to having been taught throughout our lives that this is what you're working towards. Study hard in school because then you'll get a good job. But then if you leave that good job, who do you introduce yourself at a dinner party as? Yeah. So how you deal with that one is by grieving it in advance. It is actually just sitting. It is a grief because it is a loss. It is sitting in it and understanding that this is going away, and understanding that part of your ego completely held on to it. Your ego doesn't want you to let go of that. So, making a peace, it's like grieving an actual loss. You make the peace and you suffer, you sit, eat ice cream if you have to. But also practice, watch, just ask yourself, just journal, sit down with yourself and practice what you'll be telling people when they ask you what you do. It was really tough for me. I actually went for a dinner once just before I was serving my notice period. It was a 3 months notice period. And I went for a dinner with strangers. And I had determined that I will tell them that I can't remember what I was going to explain myself to be. But when I was asked what I do, out came my role, out came the company, out came the comfort zone. And throughout the dinner, I was so disturbed because I was in my head. I was stuck in my head because I was kicking myself and saying, no, 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 you have to let go. You must, you must. So I wasn't really present in the dinner for most of it. But by the end of the dinner, I just said that, yeah, that used to be what I was doing. But now I'm serving my notice and I'm not sure what the future holds. And the beautiful thing was they didn't really care. The thing that I thought was monumental and dramatic and the end of the world, for them was just another point, another quirk, something else that was not that noticeable. And then the other side of this is a coin with two sides. The other side is make peace with the idea of success. This one is also dramatic. Sometimes with people, we don't start our businesses because we can't embody the idea that we can't embody the person we need to be from a successful perspective. We have never been allowed to be more than what the people in our community, the people in our family were. Yes, perhaps you're the one who's done the most and studied the most. So you are 10, if everyone else within your community is X, you are 10X. You've really, really done great. And yet you have ambitions to be 100X. And that for you is wrong because you've never seen it, you've never embodied it. You see yourself as just this small little person. You cannot imagine that you would be allowed to not only move to 10x but move to 100x. It's something that you want, it's something that you tell yourself would be wonderful, but sit down and think of yourself as a millionaire, a billionaire, and things completely start shifting. It's again back to the story of belief. If you do not see yourself, if you cannot fathom yourself in that perspective, then you are the one who will start sabotaging yourself. Then what do? Visualize it, see it. And when I say visualize it, write down what that person is doing, who they are, where they're going. Visualize it, get pictures if need be, but also have an image in your head. Daydream about it. Daydream about being that millionaire. Daydream about being at that place that you want to be at. Daydream about starting that business and providing stability to your kids. Do whatever it is, just daydream about it. So what you're doing is you're starting to teach your system that this is normal. So again, take small steps. It's like the subliminal messages. Make a subliminal message about it. Teach your system that it is normal and shake. Shake, 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 shake. Dance, shake, jump up and down. Shake your system because your body keeps a record of your beliefs somehow. So these things that you are not allowing yourself to have, shake, shake, shake them out of you. Let them move from you one way or the other. Give them, I'm going to tell you something very silly. But if you have a belief that you want to get rid of, visualize that belief leaving your system whenever you take a dump, whenever you go to the loo, because you're visualizing something that you do not want, some dirt, some excess, something that is no longer aligned with you, leaving your system, and flush it down the loo, and then tell yourself you're lighter because it's no longer part of you. There's a lady whose book I read that says, do whatever it takes. All these things that you hear about, all these woo woo things that you hear about, find the one that works for you, try many of them, and do whatever it's going to take for you to shake it out of you, to remove these things that are holding you back from your system. All right. Change compounds. There'll be multiple steps. The person that you are last week need not be the person that you are today. Again, sometimes it's that visible, sometimes it's not. But the point is, you will not move in one session from who you are now to who you want to be. There'll be small steps along the way. And sometimes it's hard to recognize it because sometimes you might feel that you've been doing all this for so long and you have nothing to show for it. There is no progress. And how to manage that is to track it, to keep track. I have a little journal where I write at least 3 things every day that I've done well. It's titled Well Done. It's next to my gratitude section. What I'm grateful for, but what I've done well on that day. Why? Because it helps you incrementally see what you're doing well. And it need not be anything dramatic. I did my 5Ks that day. Well done. Or I closed the deal that day. Well done. The thing is that there's something, I was reading another book. I read a lot of books. This book is called 10x is easier than 2x. And it talks about the gap in the gain. It says that how you measure your growth can be in 2 alternative ways. It can be the gap or it can be the gain. The gap is that, again, take my example. When I wanted to teach a course at Folkuniversitetet, I thought that that was the most amazing, wonderful, great thing. As in, I was very, very excited at even just the prospect. I was praying and hoping and visualizing that it would happen. And then it did. My initial reaction, yes, was I was quite happy. But within a very short period of time, it became, yeah, but. Yeah, but it's very easy for anyone to do that. It's very easy for anyone to start teaching. It's not a big deal, so that kind of thing. The thing that I was really aiming for, once it happens, then I started aiming for the next thing, which I already am at now. There's something else that I have in the pipeline, even before I've taught this course. So that is the gap. In terms of when you reach whatever it is that you wanted initially, you're then looking at something else. And so you're not celebrating these wins. I've never been in a desert and seen a mirage. But what we taught about it is that with a mirage, you can see the water right there because you're so thirsty and you're going towards it. And the closer you get to it, you realize that there was no water, it disappears. And that is the gap. If you're not able to celebrate the point where you wanted to reach at the point you reach it, and instead already have a new horizon and this celebration doesn't happen, you are not able to see the progress that you're making. You're not able to feel like you are advancing. And it drains you down because your system that has been working so hard to getting you exactly where you want to be is not getting celebrated. I want to say the image that comes to my mind is a dog that you give treats whenever it does something great. So then it does all these great things that you've been teaching it, and then you're not giving it treats. Then it stops trying. It stops reaching out to do these amazing things. Same thing I would say with your system. It stops because you're not celebrating yourself. You're not recognizing the depth of your growth. Then there's a part of you that says, I'm not doing anything. And so it stops reaching out. There are no treats, it's not reaching out. So the gain, on the other hand, is to actually be able to see these things. So if you have a checkpoint in advance, you say that when I sign my first client, I am going to do XYZ. When I sign 10 clients, I'm going to do ABC. So depending on what kind of thing it is that you want to do or what kind of business that you have, if you have these kind of steadily set checkpoints, at the point when you're starting, then you're able to keep them on a sheet of paper and you note whenever you reach one of them. And you actually put a celebration action next to each. When I have my first client, I am going to do ABC. Yeah. You consciously allow yourself to celebrate. Then you're like, sorry to say, but the dog that is getting the treat. Because the dog is getting so rewarded, then it is much more likely to learn more. You are much more likely to thrive and strive for what it is that you want to do because you're allowing yourself to do it. You're celebrating yourself when you do it. I feel I had a couple more to say on this one. You don't see it, but it creeps on you. And before you know it, you are her. I like that one. It creeps up on you. So when you're working towards the goal and you're not, still, you might not be able to see it fully, but it creeps up on you. It's like what I mentioned with the subliminal messaging. It just creeps up on you, and suddenly you find yourself able to do something that the day before you weren't able to do. And let's put this in the context of boundaries. A lot of women have issues with boundaries, and I used to too. I still do. But I'm much better placed now at saying no with confidence, with calm and self assurance, and without being mean. Because I understand that saying no is a gift I give to myself and a gift I give to the person I'm telling no to. There's nothing worse than being with someone who's grumpy and disgruntled because they went somewhere they did not want to go. They're blaming you. No. So it is also a gift to the person you're saying no to. It is primarily a gift to yourself because you're honoring your time. You're saying that I am an important person, I stand up for me, and this is what I want to do. And you're allowing yourself to do that. And you're again teaching your system. Again, back to the dog. Think of it as a very cute little dog, a very cute little puppy. You're teaching your system that you are worthy, you are important. And that's one of the things that a lot of women have beaten out of them, self-worth. It's something that I took some time to build up in myself as well. Something I talk about in my book, The Date Like Cleopatra, once again, because Cleopatra was a kick-ass woman who knew her worth and was able to stand her ground. So it's moving towards that Cleopatra-like presence to be able to stand your ground. So I have here the point that it doesn't always make sense. Trust the version of you that is pulling you towards the you that you're creating. And for this, I have a story. I picked this up in a book by Martha Beck. The book is Beyond Anxiety. I believe it's this book. She talks about a situation where she had just discovered that she was pregnant. I think she was around 2021, and her life was a bit of a mess. And she was crouched on the floor crying, asking herself, what's life all about? What's all this that's going on? And she heard a voice tell her, it's going to be okay, something along those lines. And it was that gave her the strength to pull herself together, get into sobriety, and do wonderful and amazing things. And she says later in life, she was sitting with herself and healing her inner child. So going back into her past, and that she remembered the time, she visualized the time that she was 20 and crouched on the floor. And she had so much love and compassion for that version of herself that she whispered, it's going to be okay. And I found that such a beautiful and powerful story. Our power to heal ourselves. In a sense, that the future version of her had reached out to the past version of her, and there had been a connection through which the future version of her had pulled herself up. So this is the imagery to offer to you, that even if it's not making sense, there you'll find that certain situations you just feel a calling to do something. So think of it as the future version of you looking back and saying, to get here to where we want to be, or the higher version of you, this is what you need to do. And because you, with your limited perception, will not necessarily see it, let them be the guide to you, to what it is that you're meant to do. Disclaimer, of course, I'm not saying just listen to the voices in your head. In my perspective, in my experience, there are many voices in my head. And they have very many opinions at very different times. But listen to this. If you have this internal connection to yourself, if you're able to slow down and seek your internal alignment, to just calm down, let everything slow down. And you'd close your eyes and breathe and reach out to your alignment. And from there, ask yourself, what is the path that I'm to follow? And sit with it. And sit with it in a calmness. Don't be rushed. Don't allow interferences. Don't do this in a place that's busy and that where you're going to be interrupted. And allow yourself to hear yourself. And that's the thing with decisions. We often already know the decision we're going to make. It's just that we haven't allowed ourselves to be in the quiet to accept it. So that is what I have for you today. If you are circling your idea, if you do have something that you haven't made a decision on, this is your chance to do it. This is a chance to reclaim that part of your energy that is contained in this decision and pop it back to yourself. Release that decision. Make it yes, no, not yet, based on something else that's going to happen, and allow yourself to live.